I'm Ed Zimmermann. Welcome back to Ed Talks, the podcast where we unpack the energy storage industry and look at the different trends that are influencing OEMs and EPCs, manufacturers like us here at CMP, as well as the general public across North America, Europe, and around the world. A lot has happened since the last time that we spoke. The last time we filmed the podcast, of course, was when we were joined by John Cervini from New York Best. That was back in December. So, my goodness, what has happened in the intervening months? Well, a great deal. Obviously, we have the Trump administration that has taken power in the United States, that has triggered just a whole host of different actions and activities, and certainly some anxieties as well. And we'll dive into that a little bit. Within the industry proper, we've had some good news, we've had some bad news. Unfortunately, we've seen some really great, fantastic battery manufacturing companies like C4V and Northvolt experience some pretty significant financial difficulties. And unfortunately, it does not look like they're going to remain in business. Other than that, we have organizations like Core and Freyr who are stepping back from their decisions to build battery manufacturing in the US. We've got other companies like Enersys who are doubling down on their commitments and going to be installing that infrastructure in the United States. So a lot of movement there. We continue to see robust growth, despite a lot of the challenges in the energy storage industry at large. So we'll get into some of those topics as we go through it. But I think I really need to start with the impacts of the new Trump administration coming into office in Washington. So, of course, there's the tariff situation, which is ongoing. CMP, we're headquartered here in Canada, and what's happening right now between the two countries from a trade perspective is challenging, really, I think, for everybody. Certainly, when I speak to clients in the US, there's a high level of anxiety there. When I speak to my colleagues here in Canada, as well as colleagues in the US, because we do have manufacturing in the state of New York, just a lot of uncertainty. And, the business environment in general is not a big fan of uncertainty. But we're doing everything we can to stay on top of it. We always trade work back and forth between our facilities in Canada and the US. Now, how we go about doing that in the face of the tariff threat is evolving a little, but we're remaining committed to supporting our clients, supporting our employees and our facilities, our partners in Canada and the US and around the world. And we remain optimistic that we're going to come out on the other side of this stronger, wiser, and hopefully better equipped, to serve our target markets and serve the industries that we do, right across North America. On the other side of that, changes to legislation. So we have the tariff piece, and we also have, of course, changes to legislation. The big one that's impacting our industry is, of course, the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. We have some really great contacts at various levels of government in Canada and the United States. We've been speaking with them, trying to understand really what do the changes that we've seen through executive orders mean for the industry. Well, they mean a lot of things. On one hand, there are limitations within the U.S. government structures that put some boundary conditions on what different levels of government, be it the executive or the legislature, can do with regards to passed laws. And of course, the IRA is a law that was passed. So any funds that have not yet been apportioned under the IRA and also under the NEVI program, which is not part of that, but part of the same vein, support for electrical vehicle charging infrastructure across the United States. If those funds have not been dispersed, unfortunately, the likelihood is they will not be dispersed. There may be some exceptions to that, depending on which states choose to intervene and how they choose to intervene. But if the monies have not yet been released into the hands of enterprise or the different groups that are installing infrastructures, they probably won't. Of the really enormous sum of money that was earmarked by the Biden administration to support the emergence of this industry, we did our research, and 84% of those funds, have already been committed. They are not going to be subject to any changes due to the legislative process. And that's representative of the better part of $97 billion of investment. That is investment for new manufacturing capabilities, new jobs, new technologies that are going to continue to have a really positive impact on the industry, for the next decade. Also, the investment tax credit structure, the ITC structure, that was put in place to promote the adoption and installation of US manufactured solutions in this industry, that is going to remain in place as well. That is, of course, a law, and you would have to work through the houses of Congress and the president in order to make changes there. And I think there probably would be a good bit of pushback if that was a desire that they held, simply because a lot of those monies did go to jurisdictions that voted very strongly in favor of the Trump administration and that have predominantly Republican governments in place. So we think, based on the people we've spoken to in our own research, that money is safe. The investment tax credit structure is safe. It's going to continue to drive investment and interest and growth in this industry right through its termination. And that's not until 2034. So we've got the better part of a decade still to promote our great work, promote this industry, continue to build excellent manufacturing jobs right across the United States, and at the same time offer pretty significant benefits to the environment as a whole. So we're really encouraged by a lot of that. And what we're seeing from the industry right now is not a huge step back from renewables. We still see strong demand from our clients across different technologies, be it longer duration or shorter duration systems. We know that they're still signing contracts. We know that they're still deploying systems right across the U.S. And we have no reason to suspect that's going to change in a meaningful way. Unfortunately, some of the changes that have been made are going to make it more difficult for new companies, new technologies, new ideas, perhaps, to enter the market. But for those that are established, those that have already started making their mark, the future looks very, very bright for them. So we're excited. One of the aspects that is also cause for concern is on the renewables front, not so much on the storage side, but certainly further expansion of traditional renewables generating technologies. I think what we're probably going to see is, whereas before the government incentive programs led a lot of jurisdictions to try and adopt technologies in geographies that weren't necessarily really well suited towards them, we're probably going to see that come down a little bit. So the Pacific Northwest, New England, there's going to be challenges adopting and adding to the renewables generation capability there. But when we look at the Sunbelt states, the Californias, the Arizonas, the New Mexicos, when we look at the Midwest, the big wind generating areas, the Dakotas, Texas, those technologies, be it solar or wind generation, have already proven themselves to be amongst the most cost-effective, if not the most cost-effective ways to generate power. And so, we fully expect that they're going to continue to expand that generating capacity. And what's more, that generating capacity needs to be backstopped by different types of energy storage. And so we're going to be looking towards those markets to continue to drive the growth that they've been driving and support, the great organizations that we work with on the OEM side, as well as, CMP, our facilities in Canada, the United States, and other companies that we know are engaged in the industry right across America. So there's really no reason to suspect that the future is anything but bright and exciting, regardless of some of those changes. So, I spoke earlier a little bit about different changes within the industry itself. Of course, we've had some failures in organizations seeking to make batteries. We have some cancellations, and we have, a select handful of organizations that are choosing to continue to invest. One thing to consider here is going to be the impact of the new tariff structures on imports from China. Obviously, the vast majority of lithium cells are still coming from the Asian market. The cost of those cells, despite, the great work that they've done driving down the cost, is going to be increasing. And we don't expect it to stop increasing due to tariff pressure and logistics costs and other challenges. What we suspect is that it's probably going to result in a new push towards battery manufacturing in the US. So, certainly had some fits and starts, certainly had some challenges along the way. I think what the industry is discovering is that just having the tools doesn't necessarily mean you're going to yield the desired results. There's a lot of knowledge and experience that we need to make up for. We've been reliant on overseas partners for the manufacture of these components for a long time, and we have some catch up to do there to develop that expertise in the United States. And I have no doubt that we're going to. And, the added tariff pressure that is increasing the cost of those foreign source components, that is more than likely going to result in more and more onshoring of that manufacturing capability into the US. So we're excited to see that, of course, because those are the organizations that we're working with every day to bring these different technologies to the market. So high level, we really just wanted to speak to you today about some of those changes, some of those concerns, some of those anxieties, and try and reassure our viewership and our partners that I know right now things might be a little chaotic, and that's certainly cause for concern. And I have no doubt whatsoever that the different groups that are engaging with each other are going to find a path forward to yield a really good outcome for everybody that's involved. But in this particular industry, energy storage and renewables, we remain bullish. We remain committed, and we think that the industry at large, like I said, has a very bright future. So I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. It's going to end up in the blooper reel. But thank you so much for joining us again today. I will be at the Capture the Energy Conference in Albany in May, speaking on one of the panels there. We'd love to see you there. The team at New York Best does such an amazing job at those conferences every year. And we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much.